Hey guys, welcome back to the Free Life Agents podcast. Today, I have a really wonderful guest with me today, and he's a really special dude and come into real estate at a young age. He's 21 years old and already crushing it in real estate over in Missouri. And without further ado, please welcome my guest, Xavier Hamblin. Welcome to the show, Xavier.
Thank you. Thank you. Um, so just a little background. Like you said, I'm a younger agent, 21. Coming into everything, I heard a lot of you're young, people are gonna, at the time that I became an agent, I had never actually even purchased a house, never had walked through it. So my first deal was my first experience, even home buying process. So just kind of, I worked at fast food places before. Um, I was even in the military for a short amount of time. Nothing bad, honorable discharge, but just stuff going on at home. And then, so after that, that's kind of what inspired me. I met a buddy in the Air Force, and his mom actually done real estate. So he got to talking to me about that. So when I found out I was getting out, I decided to pursue that. Originally, I wanted to investor side. So when I first got out, I was going to college for engineering technology. And I was also working 30 something hours a week at Walmart. So at that time, I was kind of studying college, real estate, and working, kind of doing a little bit of everything. So then as time went on, I started, sitting in class, and it became where I was doing more real estate than I was school, and I was focusing more on real estate than I was school. So my grades were still good in school, but I believe 1 month I was probably only in real estate maybe a few months, and I had 3 or 4 deals, and I had accumulated probably between 12 and 15,000 within that first 4 months. So to me, at that point, my 2-year degree was only going to make me, 60 grand a year, and which is a lot. But at the same time, I seen the potential of money that you can make in real estate. And especially for me being so new and already seeing that type of money, like I said, at 19, 20, when I joined, I had never seen 15 to 20,000 in my bank account. So, fresh out of high school, that was new for me. So yeah, just after seeing that, I kind of decided that to put college on pause. I did have a scholarship, so I wasn't, losing any money. I wasn't doing anything for, other than dropping college. I wasn't putting myself in a bad spot by getting out of that. So after that, I decided to, like I said, drop out of college, and pursue real estate more. But I still kept working at Walmart for a short amount of time. And it's kind of been back and forth. So actually, I do have a job now. And I figured that being on the investor side, it's more beneficial to keep a W-2 job until you've been in real estate for a couple years and see consistent income. So that's kind of the plan moving forward, to keep a job going forward, until it's going to be a smoother transition. I was able to, like I said, quit Walmart and do real estate for, I think it was like 4 or 5 months. And then I ended up going back to another job. And it was kind of just back and forth like that. And then I realized that, like I said, a W-2 job helps with getting loans from the bank and stuff like that. Because in Missouri, I'm not sure if it's the same where you're from, but a lot of banks require that you be an agent for 2 years or more before they'll count that as income even. So really, the income that I was making wasn't beneficial to me in any way on the investor side, unless I was buying things cash. So yeah, that's kind of where it all started, I guess, is just after getting out, I went to college and decided that, I wanted to pursue real estate, and that, maybe college wasn't for me. Not saying it's not for everyone. I just think there's multiple other ways as an entrepreneur mindset, that you could definitely be successful without a piece of paper.
Yeah, I keep saying that, man. And thanks for that introduction. That's awesome. And yeah, no, but we're definitely going to cover a lot of that. I think that's you can offer a really fresh perspective on things, you know, getting out of college and deciding not to do it. And that's a whole different conversation that you know, I have very strong opinions on. So I don't know if, you know, the listeners out there know, but I do. But yeah, no, just to, you know, kind of backtrack a little bit about you getting into real estate. You know, why did you kind of choose the path of real estate? I know you said you kind of wanted to pick the investor side, but how was it that, was it just based off the you know, the recommendation of a family friend, or was there something else inside, I guess inside of the industry, inside of yourself, that kind of matched, right? That you kind of really decided to choose real estate versus like foreign exchange, or, you know, currency exchange, or stocks. Yeah.
So actually, it's funny you mentioned that. So actually, I started with stocks. So I started on Robinhood playing around, and I realized that in stocks, unless you have a bunch of capital, there's really not a greater opportunity to make a bunch of capital. So unless you have a bunch of money, it's really hard unless you're doing like forex trading or something like that. But even then, you still have to have, you know, 5 to 10,000 to be able to see significant gains, enough to support yourself, basically. So I'm sure there's more people that are well educated on that could probably say, you know, I can turn $100 into 100,000. But just off the research that I was doing at the time, you know, it's real difficult to see huge gains like that, enough to support yourself financially to be able to do that off of stocks. So that's where, you know, after, you know, watching YouTube videos, you know, you kind of just get those autoplay videos and you see stocks slowly transition into real estate and vice versa. So I would start to watch real estate videos. I found Bigger Pockets. That was my big, like, hey, I want to do this. Um, so I watched Bigger Pockets, started joining their webinars, started scrolling through the forums in my free time. Most kids my age, you know, scroll through Instagram. I was scrolling through Bigger Pockets and trying to find out what, you know, if there was any people my age, you know, getting into real estate or things like that. And that's actually how we connected, I believe, is through Bigger Pockets. So yeah, Bigger Pockets was definitely a huge turning point in my motivation to do real estate. I guess kind of the push that I had to, you know, the switch to flip to be like, yeah, this is what I want to do. Like I said, I was talking to a family member. He's actually a real estate agent. Um, and I was talking to him how I want to get into the investing side of things, and how I'd been on Bigger Pockets, just looking at the, you know, kind of investor side. Um, and he's like, you know, I understand you want to be an investor in real estate, you know, get your degree and then use that money to invest. But, you know, why not try real estate, understand the home buying process, understand what you're basically going to be going through if you know, choose to proceed with this moving forward. So me being me, I was like, why not? I'm always open to learn something new. I never have been the type to be like, yeah, I know it all. I'll gladly learn something from anybody. Even a brand new agent could probably teach me something that maybe I don't know, or teach me a way to approach something that I don't know. So experience to me isn't really anything, especially for me coming in. I seen that a lot of, you know, after dealing with a lot of agents, even being new, like I handled a lot more situations more professionally and, you know, quickly and just, you know, time sensitive with things than maybe some more experienced agents. So really, to me, experience wasn't a thing. It was, so it really just depends on your work ethic, on, you know, your success rate. You gotta be willing to put the work in. There's definitely been times I fell asleep in the office working and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely worth it. But yeah, that's kind of how I got started. Just kind of family member asked me, you know, or told me, you know, why don't you try this? So I went ahead and tried it out, and here I am.
Yeah, I mean, have you kind of always been like entrepreneurial? Because you started like you said, you know, way before a lot of people have. So, is that something that you've always kind of had in the back of your mind? You want to be like do your own thing and be an investor and build a business, or was it just by happenstance?
So To be honest with you, if you would have told me in high school that I would have been a real estate agent, I probably would have laughed. To me, I never seen myself as a professional. I never seen myself. I knew I was always a leader. I didn't know that. I was never a follower. Never, hang with the crowd just because cool kids are cool kids. Like I was just kind of the I do my own thing type of person. So I did have that. But actually, up until my senior year of high school, I wanted to be a nurse. Now, clearly, I'm not the nurse type, and I made that decision, senior year. So that's kind of where the military came in. Like, I don't know what I want to do, so military. Um, so that's kind of where that came from. And then, yeah, like I said, it was kind of by chance that real estate stumbled upon me. I met, like I said, a friend in the Air Force, um, and he kind of got me into the stocks thing and everything and told me about his mom. And, I just seen the success. I seen the light at the end of the tunnel. And that kind of pushed me to want to pursue that getting out. And then another big thing with that was kind of books. So in high school, I was never a book reader at all. If you told me to pick up a book, I'd laugh at you and push it away. Never would read a book. That was never at the top of my list. But after high school, I kind of learned, and especially in the Air Force, he was showing me books and stuff. And uh, I think the books is really, I've learned more from maybe 10 books out of high school than probably all the classes in 1 year combined at high school. I mean, you learn a lot from books, especially if you're reading them from the right people. Um, so again, Bigger Pockets points out a lot of good books. That's just a good networking place, a good connection place, a good place to start, get your feet wet, get a foot in the door.
Yeah, I think you mentioned something really interesting there, and I think it's a good transition into that other topic that we were talking about earlier. But learning from books and kind of making that transition from school, because it isn't like, and I don't know this, I'm just completely guessing, but it doesn't sound like you're very enthused about school, and I'm sure not a lot of people are, right? Not a lot of people are enthused about going to school and picking up a book for a book report. But it sounds like once you got into real estate and started learning more about financial freedom and wealth and business, you were not only just being excited about it, but you're actually able to retain more information. So is that something you kind of saw? Is that a transition where in school you might not have been excited about it? You might have even like just disdained it, like I did. Like I hated school, but even as a younger person, that you made that transition, seems like fairly quickly. Whereas that you found something that you thought was either useful or more interesting, and you kind of just became more excited about it and was able to retain more information.
So I definitely think being motivated in what you're wanting to do, or whatever, to pick up a book helps a lot. So in high school, they give you books to read and do a book report on. You didn't pick that book. You didn't want to read that book. You had no interest. You're just doing it so you can pass the class. Or even in college. I mean, like for example, anatomy. I mean, unless you want to be a doctor, I don't really care to know everything about the human body. Don't That doesn't interest me. That's what doctors are for. So unless I want to pursue that, I shouldn't feel like I have to take that. Same with chemistry. I don't want to know how to make bubbles in a glass container. That doesn't like interest me unless that's what I want to be doing for the rest of my life. So just classes like that, um, kind of just it didn't interest me. So like you said with the books, it's definitely something that you I guess hear from someone. Like I would listen to podcasts. So I would say, so after listening to someone for a while and understanding that person, understanding their goals and their drive and their story, when they recommend a book, you want to read that just because you feel attached to that person. Like you got something out of that person's words, their podcast, their message. So if they say that book inspired their message or helped them along their story, you're going to want to pick that up because it may change yours. So that's kind of what it was for me. And then another thing is uh, I try to stay consistent. I try to read at least 10 pages a day. I still try to do that. Some days I can't get to that, but 10 pages a day, that's roughly 12 books a year. If you're reading 12 books a year, you're you're gaining knowledge that, is way ahead of people your age, especially if you're younger. Because a lot of young people don't, like I said, they don't want to pick up books. Like, for example, people my age, partying is a big thing. To me, that's not important. To me, I'd rather party when I have money, not go sit in somebody's garage and drink a beer too. That's just not, that doesn't entertain me. So yeah, it's kind of a mindset thing. If you don't have a strong mindset, if you are a follower and want to party and you don't really want to pick up a book, it's not going to come to you. You have to want to be successful to, get that going, get the ball rolling.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that's really interesting because I feel like, people get conditioned where school is like you were saying, you didn't pick the subjects you're getting to learn. You didn't pick the books for your book reports, right? And then after, however many years or 12 years of, just being in school or, even college, like 16 years later, people just kind of get this conditioning and this programming in their mind where they associate learning and getting more information and improvement with, schooling, which is something that it's just two completely different things. And then I don't know if you've noticed this, but when people either get out of school or get out of college, they just automatically stop learning and they stop improving. I mean, I don't know what your opinions on this are, but like, do you think that's an issue? Do you think we have a break kind of in like, especially because I like asking like younger people this question because you just got out of it. So you're fresh out of it. Like asking somebody who's 50 years old, that's different experience. They come from different, different era. But like, do you think there's a break in the system or like the educational system or the schooling system where, it's conditioning and programming people to actually disdain learning, where it's a completely different theory where it's like, what they're teaching in school isn't exactly learning and education. Is that, I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
So I feel, to me, just in my opinion, I feel like school is totally, I feel like, not to get political or anything like that, but I just feel like school and college is a big money thing. I feel like the tuition is so high, and for what you get, it's not worth it. Unless you're becoming a lawyer or a doctor, your your education is not worth it, especially if it's something that you're not necessarily 100% passionate about. Like if you don't want to wake up, like I'll just use a nurse for an example. If you don't truly want to be a nurse, but you know that nurses make good money and that's the reason you're doing it, or maybe you like the idea of working in a hospital, but you don't really know what all the options are, but you hear nurse a lot. So you're like, well, maybe I want to be a nurse. So you pursue that and you go 50, 60, however, thousands and thousands in debt, just to get out. And then, like you said, your education stops. And I think the reason that is because a lot of people, maybe that's not really what they wanted to do in the first place. Like that's what that's what they did, but maybe it's not their dream job. Like if you told someone, hey, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? It can be anything you want, and pretend money's not an option. I guarantee you a lot of people would pick what they really want, like maybe artist, drawing, something like that, podcast, anything versus, nurse and I think that, a lot of people will go in debt um, for school, and then they get out, and a lot of people don't even use their degree because they end up doing something else. And then the people that do use their degree work 12-hour days, and that's what they're going to do till they're 65. And that, like, just what they teach in school, it really doesn't help you in life. It's like a system designed to keep you in their system. That's why I'm against. I won't even say against school. Like I said, I think if you're 100% passionate about what you're doing, then you should do it. So if that means go to school because you want to be a nurse 100%, then do that. But I also think that school sets you up to stay in debt. It sets you up to stay in the government's wheel, because of course they'll give you money and you can pay it back till you're dead with interest. Like just stuff like that. And when you're for real estate, for example, an agent maybe only costs a couple grand to get started. So, you could work at wherever and make a couple grand, stay at parents' house for a couple months, be an agent and be on your own before anyone in college ever got out of school. So like that's kind of what happened with me. Like on my own, have stuff that kids my age don't have yet because they're in college. Out of college, they'll be 50, 60, $70,000 in debt, and I don't have that. So that's just, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. I don't necessarily think all college is bad. I just think that it costs for what you're getting is not worth it unless you're 100% passionate about it.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I think, man. So I mean, if you don't like just kind of thinking about it, even like thinking an example of a doctor, right? You think they make good money, but people don't realize the reality of going through what, like 6, 8 years of medical school and how much debt you're actually in after those, those years of being in medical school. It's not just the 4-year university degree. It's, medical school, whatever, fellowship. I don't know the details, but you go into so much debt, and then, like you said, you're on the hamster wheel before you even start in life. So you're already backwards before you even got started in life. Like you put yourself in debt before you even started making your first paycheck, and that's, I feel like that's a huge problem for the world today, right? Like you said, you're making good money, you're not in any debt, and that's I don't know, that's gold to me. That to me is just complete gold. Because I don't know, I'm sure you've either said this, or I guess we can kind of get into that in the next question, but you kind of said this to other people, but is there's an issue, like real estate agents think is an issue, that young people today can get what, like $500,000, loan for going to college for a piece of paper, like you said, but they can't get, well, like a $60,000 loan to buy an investment property. So, right. Where's the break in that? Where's the logic in that? And that's I don't know, but I mean, kind of like from your experience, have you like met anybody, like maybe friends from college or even high school, that kind of see the success that you're having in real estate and maybe even want to do what you're doing, or are they kind of seeing it and not realizing it and kind of just flash in the pan for them?
I got you. Yeah. So I've actually had people that I've graduated with talk to me about real estate. Um, and sometimes there's the people that's like, oh, I want to get in it. Tell me about it. I tell them about it, and they never do anything with it. Those are the people that, in my opinion, like I I won't give them an extra time of day. Like when I meet a person, I know 100% based on what they're telling me, how they're talking to me, how excited they are about it, if they're going to make it or not in real estate. Like I know 100%, what they're going to be doing moving forward. Because real estate, I mean, it takes drive. There's going to be months where you're not going to get anything, especially first starting out. I got lucky and got a deal in my first month. Um, but like I said, that was luck. I mean, real estate is to an extent luck. So, uh, I don't know. I think there's definitely people that come up to me 100%. They see the success, they see, what they could have, but they don't want to put in the work. And that's the problem. You, unlike a degree, like we'll say a doctor, for example, you put in all that work for however many years to go to school, you get out, but the only difference is now you're working 12-hour days consistently to make that money. Real estate, if you time correctly and put in, so many hours, you can make way more than a doctor and work half of what a doctor does, probably even less than half of what a doctor does. And I can't really attest to that. I don't make a doctor's salary, but there are agents that do make a doctor's salary, and I promise that they don't work nearly as many hours as a doctor does, and they work on their own time. That's another thing. So with being an agent or an entrepreneur in general, you work on your own time. There is no, you have to be here at 10 o'clock this morning and get off at 10 o'clock tonight. Like there is none of that. It's kind of just on your own time at your own pace, and you control the pace of your business. It's your business. You're the face of everything. So you're not working for somebody. I mean, other than a brokerage, someone holds your license. But I mean, eventually, if you got to that point, you could start your own and really not have to answer to nobody. Um, Me personally, I like being under a brokerage just because of the training and everything that it offers. I personally wouldn't open my own brokerage. I feel like that fee is kind of an investment, because they're paying for your continued education, your constant learning, your meetings, your networking. I mean, to me, that's worth it, the cut that they take or whatever out of your commission. Um, so yeah, there's definitely people that come up to me. I have people, I go to the gym. I have people that come up to me and say, hey, I see your posts on Facebook, or I see your real estate cards, or because I leave them in the gym, or just around town. I'll go into a gas station and leave a couple on the counter, something like that. But yeah, people will say, hey, I see you. Hey, I thought about getting into it. But right away the people that really could probably have something in it, and the people that are just kind of all bark, no bite.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. That and it's I think it's important because it doesn't matter if you're a coach or an agent or anybody, but giving your time to those that deserve it instead of those that need it. Because I mean, everybody needs your time, right? Everybody needs time, but it's only those that deserve it that actually are worth spending your time with. So that's pretty interesting that that you're already realizing this, and you're like only 21, so you're already getting in that other role instead of being the mentee. You're stepping into the mentor, the coach role. So that's really cool. So I mean, yeah, I mean, Xavier, you were talking about the first deal that you had, and you were mentioning a little bit of luck went into it. I think you're not giving yourself enough credit, but kind of walk us through that first deal, right? You were how old were you at the time? You were 19, and
20.
you were 20.
Well, 19, 20. I think 19 when I first got licensed, but by the time it closed, I was 20.
Okay, so your birthday was in between. Okay, yeah, yeah, no. So, kind of walk us through that first deal. What went into it? How you how you came upon it, and different lessons you learned. In your first deal as an agent and being a younger person as well.
So at Coldwell Banker, your first 3 deals, you have to have a mentor, or at least the one that I work for. I don't know if that's every Coldwell Banker. So you did have a mentor to walk, kind of help me through everything. And so going into that, so as soon as I got licensed in October of 2020, so right out of the get-go, I started marketing. And when you first start out, it looks trash. I'm pretty sure I took a picture of my business card and just posted it on a Facebook account that I made. No good posts, no contact information. Is just kind of, hey, I'm an agent, here's my business card. And it is a terrible picture. But as you I guess so moving through the marketing things, she currently left us now, but there's a lady named Trom, and she would help me weekly go over things I could do, marketing, going over electronic strategies, just different social marketing, sphere of influence, things like that. So my first deal actually was a friend from high school. So they seen my post. They was actually, working with a realtor at the time, not under an agreement or anything. So it wasn't anything like that, just kind of talking to that realtor. And that realtor was new as well, and wasn't very responsive, wasn't very attentive to them, kind of just pushed it off. And real estate was part-time to that agent. And even though it was part-time to me, it was my main focus. So again, at this time I was still in college, but I wanted to do real estate. I wanted to be an investor. So real estate came before college. It came before Walmart. So just, I think that drive, I think he's seen that in me. He's seen that I was willing to work for him. He's seen that I was willing to this day, that's the only client I've ever drove around. I've never drove another client around, but for him, first deal, I was like, yeah, come on, let's go look at the house. So I drove him around. We looked at a few, and again, like I said, being new, I didn't really know what to look for. I'd never been through the process. So, I had no idea what I was even looking for, what's wrong with the house. Like I said, I had never purchased a house myself, never even had an apartment. At this time, I was still living, with my parents. So, uh, literally had no idea what I was doing other than the training and, everything, the licensing and everything. So I knew a little bit, enough to write a contract, but, to an extent, there's only so much you can know and unofficially. So, kind of just going through the experience, you learn so much more than just reading about it or hearing about it. Uh, so yeah, it was definitely. He ended up not wanting to ask for any repairs or anything like that. So the house was in good condition. Didn't have to negotiate really. We negotiated the price just because he wanted his closing costs covered. So he actually ended up getting a house, and he put down $200 in earnest money and got $47 of it back. So he spent about $150 to get a house, his very first house, and he still lives in that house. So we keep in contact. It's kind of cool. So he got, a lot of people think that you can't get in the house for nothing down. There's first-time home buyers programs. Currently, where I'm at and where this house is at, the population's less than 20,000, so you could use a USDA loan, which is 0% down as well. So there's a lot of ways that you can get in a home for that. An apartment these days costs $1,200 rent, $1,200 deposit. You're looking at $5,000 just to move into something that you're not going to own, and you can buy a house for that. So it's just, a lot of younger people especially don't understand. I think the agent thing scares them. That's what I feel like my advantage is, being young. I'm more approachable versus, maybe someone who's twice my age, 50s, 40s, and maybe they're not as approachable to an 18 or 19-year-old. It kind of intimidates them. So like right now I'm a little dressed up, but other times, I've been on, maybe not necessarily showings, but I've been on appointments, meeting people in hoodies, jeans, whatever. It really just depends on the person. Some people are okay. Like usually people my age, they don't mind, me wearing a hoodie. I'm human too. I don't always, I don't sleep in a nice collared shirt. I wear my night pants and house slippers around the house too. So some people don't mind. Other people, you can kind of tell when you're meeting someone how they like, or I guess how you should be around them. I always try to be presentable, especially the first time, no matter what. Even if they're my age, I always try to wear something nice. But I also know agents who never dress up. They always wear hoodies and sweatpants, and they sell houses too. So really, it doesn't. It's really your character. People buy people, not what you're wearing. But to me, I like to make a good first impression. So, yeah, that's really, it's good. That was my first deal, I guess. It went smooth. Like I said, there wasn't any there was inspections, but they didn't ask for anything. It went pretty smooth. There was a little delay on closing because of holidays, Christmas, New Year's, and then some title work came back a little iffy, and something had to get cleared up, a lien waiver from a contractor. But other than that, it went pretty smooth. It was actually pretty good for my first deal. And like I said, I had a mentor to kind of hold my hand through that deal as well. So it was pretty smooth.
Yeah. And I think that's an awesome story for a lot of people, and not just younger agents, but like just new agents in general who are afraid to do things, or, they don't really know where to start. Like you did almost, and I mean this in a good way, but you did the textbook, everything like the textbook way, where everybody, all the coaches or influencers or mentors tell, new agents or agents to do is, get yourself out there. Don't be scared. Aggressive marketing, right? Even if it's not perfect, like you said, just posting a picture of your business card on Facebook, right? That's how you get attention to you. That's how you got your first lead, right? They were working with a different agent, but they saw, you, who was somebody that had previous connection with from high school, and then they decided to work with you. So I mean that's textbook. And then there's so many people they don't do that, and then that kind of baffles a lot of people, right? And they wonder why they're not successful, is because they don't do the things that are proven over and over again that bring success. And I think this is a perfect example. I think a really good case study of using the textbook methods, right? And then going out there as a new agent, failing forward, not knowing exactly what to do or not knowing everything, but still going out there and doing things and just taking the next step, right? I mean, so many people they don't do that, and I know I credit it to just lack of motivation, not necessarily like laziness. They don't know their goals. They don't really have a good reason for why they're in real estate in the first place. I mean, like, what was it for you that kind of like drove you? Was it just drive? Did you just know like you wanted to get out of school, like you needed to do something, or did you have like a bigger vision that was always kind of like deep inside you that just drove you to take these actions that might be kind of scary for some people to take, essentially?
Mm-hmm. So like I said, I was always kind of a leader. I always kind of mindset that I don't need to impress anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to, I don't prove myself to anybody, because you enter this world alone and you die alone. Now that sounds sad, but it's true. There's only one spot in your casket, and you come into this world alone. I mean, unless you're a twin, but I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, who cares what anyone thinks? So for me, it was after the Air Force, I got a motorcycle, and I ended up crashing. It was pretty bad. So I have a nice little scar along my arm, and it was pretty bad. It was pretty scary, and it made me realize how fast your life can be taken from you. So with that, it was that was my turning point. That was my turning point. Like, hey, what am I doing? I'm 19. I need to get it together. There's people my age in college, and I just crashed my motorcycle, and I work at Walmart. So, to me, it was kind of like a big slap in the face, like, hey, I need to get it together. But I'm also thankful to be alive. So, after that, that's when I really started to get into it and get serious. So I started focusing more. And like I said, you have to have that mindset to be an agent. Um, I can't really speak on any other entrepreneurial, careers, I guess. But to be an agent, you have to be driven, because you're going to go months and months, especially, if you're newer, without deals, because nobody knows you. I mean, to be blunt, nobody until you make yourself a somebody. So you have to make those phone calls. You have to pick up that phone. And for me, I was an introvert, and I still am a little bit. But I I would never pick up the phone and call somebody. I would always walk in the store with my head down. That was the type of person I was. So for me, picking up the phone was the hardest thing. But the more you do it, I mean, it becomes easy. It becomes second nature. Just like, driving a car. You don't think about it. You can text and drive. Probably shouldn't, but you can. It just becomes second nature that you're doing that stuff. So that's kind of how it is. And you have to be willing to not party, not go out. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna lose friends. It's I always heard in a book that the road to success is a lonely road, and that is true to an extent. You will lose all your friends, but you'll make new ones because you're leaving your current level to get to the next level. So your friends now that you graduated with, that you're buddy with, there's a statistic that 1 in 20 people will be successful as they want to be. So me personally, I don't even have 20 friends. So I know for a fact that 20 people, I'm ahead of those 20 people just because I know that my mindset is more driven than the people around me. So I know that, by nature, I'm going to lose those friends. Maybe not completely lose them, but we're not going to hang out because my goals and their goals are different. They may not have goals and I have big goals. So obviously I don't want to surround myself with people like that. So starting out, you got to be willing to make sacrifices. Like I said, I fell asleep in the office. I don't mind to go up to the office on a Friday evening into night and work in the office. That don't bother me. I don't have anything better to do. And if that 4 or 5 hours of work from 5 to 10 at night gets me, $20,000 over the next 3 months. Was that sitting in the garage drinking a beer on that Friday worth it? No, wasn't worth it at all. So to me, it's just kind of your priorities, and it all comes down to if you're a follower or a leader, really. Because if you're a follower and you think that you have to go to those parties to be cool and you need to post it on Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and let everybody know the fun life you're living, um, you know, I just feel like it's not worth it. So I feel like I've always been kind of the person that I don't need to prove myself. I don't need to show people nice things. I don't do that either. Um, so I like when I got my house, a lot of people my age, when they get their apartment, post their apartment. Oh, I got an apartment. I, I, by the time I was 20, had 3 houses in my name and never posted any of them. So it's just kind of what you know you you feel within, I guess. I mean, it's your drive. It comes down to drive, mindset, and what you care if people, how you care about what people think. So for me, I don't really care. I'm focused on me and my goals. So you got to kind of have that mindset. You got to be willing to work and not see results and still work. There is no clocking out, especially in the beginning.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's really interesting because I really love kind of just digging into almost like the reasons behind mindsets, right? Like you have clearly, I wouldn't like, I guess like I would just say like a superior mindset to a lot of people your same age. So I mean, and you said that you over and over again that you're a leader. You've always been a leader. You've always never been a follower and doing what the crowd does. But and I don't know, this could be this might be the first time you ever even thought about this. But have you always just like you always been a leader, or like when was the realization, or have you been kind of like almost like an unconscious competent the entire time, where you were just the leader like ever since you were born, and you never kind of follow the crowd? Or was there a realization at some point during your life that you kind of realized this is who I am? I don't really care about what other people think about me.
Yeah, so I guess it really started in high school, that developing that mindset, because it just came down to, like I was on the basketball team for my freshman year, and then I ended up quitting because I got a job. And some kids are blessed that their parents, can buy them a car. Um, my parents weren't able to, get me a brand new nice car. So to me, I had to work for my stuff. So I feel like that's really where it started, is, seeing kids around me being given stuff, and me myself, I have to work for it. So um, I did stop playing basketball, to be able to drive to school instead of ride the bus. And for some kids, that's never an issue. That's for some people, they don't even think that that's ever going to be a problem for them. Like they know from the time they're 16 that their parents, are going to get them a vehicle. Um, and so I feel like it's developed over time. So then from then moving forward, it was, do I go to work or do I call out and go to this party? So, like I wasn't an unpopular kid. I wouldn't say I was the most popular, but I was kind of the in between, like cool with everybody type of person. So you know, in high school, to me, parties weren't important to me. I I would go and there's people there that I didn't even know, and I don't want to hang out with people I don't know. Like that doesn't interest me. I mean, if I don't know you, I probably don't want to be around you unless I get to know you. So to me, it just that idea of that doesn't appease to me, I guess. Now networking in real estate, that's different. Those are people I don't know, but I know that networking in real estate, you know, everyone has a similar mindset. Everyone wants to be better. Everyone wants to better themselves. If you're going to parties, I mean, everyone's goal that night is to get drunk and fall asleep on the floor. That wasn't appealing me like that. I just didn't want to do that. So I knew right away that, in high school, you're cool if you go to parties. I say that with quotes because you're, I don't know, have my own opinions, but to me, I mean, it doesn't make you any cooler than anybody else that you go to your garage and drink beer on the weekends with. all your 16-year-old friends. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion, but to me, like I just knew that from a young age that they weren't better than me just because of that. Um, so and then a lot of it had to do, I think, with the money thing. Like growing up, I wasn't necessarily poor. My mom was a nurse, so that's where my nurse thing when I wanted to be that came from. Um, but she always made me work for everything. I was never given anything, and she made it very clear that that was going to stay consistent. So I'm thankful that I did have a parent to be able to push me kind of in the right direction and not be spoiled and give me things. Which I'm sure there's great people who turned out great with their parents that have given them stuff. Just I feel like when you have to work for it, it means a little more. Like you take better care of your stuff. You just have that mindset. You develop that I want this for me because I'm working for it. So I feel like that's where that comes from, the kind of leadership attitude. Um, and then just like I said, I've never really cared to be different. So and looking back, some of those people that were more popular in high school, they might be doing less than me now, or they might ask me, or hey, you want to hang out, or hey, what's up? Haven't talked to you, but we never talked in high school. You know what I mean? Like it's just they see that I'm a different person now, like different status, and they want to be a part of that, but they didn't see the long working hours, the long time. So when they were all going out, I was working, and that's what you know, that I earned this status. It's not, it wasn't given, it was earned. So I feel like that's just the mindset, you kind of have is what are you willing to give up to be where you want to be is what you have to ask yourself.
Right. And that's something that people don't ask themselves quite enough is, what am I willing to sacrifice to actually get the life that I want? Because like you said, everybody sees the success, right? They see we're going to talk about this next, but they see the winning the awards, right? And the owning the investment properties, but they don't see the falling asleep in the office, right? They don't see that. Right. And then they don't want, sometimes I feel like it's a subconscious thing where they don't want to see that. They believe that, because they're not working hard enough, that people who got the success, that got lucky or a good break or however, because there's a phrase out there, I don't know who said it, but everybody's self-made, but only the successful ones want to believe it. So yeah, it is really up to you. But kind of pivoting to your success, like I was talking about, you just recently won an award at your brokerage, Coldwell Banker. Kind of walk us through what went into that, what the award is, and your experience with it, and kind of how you got about winning that award at 21.
I got you. Yeah. So the award that you're referring to, it's the Merit Club Award. So that's for getting a certain sales volume. I believe it's over 1.7 million in a year. I believe is the number. I'm not 100% sure. But so yeah, so that is the award I won. And I was actually in the running with another agent in the office for Rookie of the Year. Um, Unfortunately, I did not get that award. We sold the same number of units. They just had a higher sales price on those units. So they brought more commission into the office. So that's why they got the award. But yeah, so my first full year in real estate, I closed 13 units for a total of 1.8 million in sales. So um, most agents, even seasoned agents, usually do 4 to 5 deals a year, unless you're in that top 5%. So 13 for 1 year, especially the rookie year, is pretty good. Um, but like just another mindset thing. There's always more moving forward. I know I could do better. Just like I said, it comes down to systems, pushing yourself, and what you're willing to give up. So next year, looking to double that. My goal is 30 for this year. And right now, I'm on track, but becoming behind. But we're going to fix that. uh, yes. So that's what that award is, though. It's the Merit Club Award. It's cool. It's a nationally, I believe, recognized Coldwell Banker Award. So it's throughout all of the Coldwell Bankers. So anyone within their office can win that award. if they get that sales volume. So yeah, that I did have a good rookie year. Um, and like I said, I couldn't have done that by myself. I don't want to take all the credit. My office has been great. Branch manager, training, leadership, all that has been great and very supportive throughout everything. Always answers questions if I have any. Believe it or not, I do have some questions sometimes. uh, but yeah, like I said, it's just really being an open book. You have to be willing to learn because there's people that come in and they're like, no, I think this way's better, so I'm not going to do your way. You're never going to grow like that, and you're just going to burn relationships in the process. So, me personally, if a new agent comes into the office tomorrow and says, "Hey, I think you could do this better this way," I would be more than happy to hear him out because I personally don't think experience is necessarily a huge thing, depending on what it is that you're talking about or trying to correct. Um, because everyone has different experiences, everyone's different leadership levels, everyone's different views on things. So I think you can learn a lot from someone just based on what they can tell you and what they can bring to the table, regardless of their experience.
Yeah, I love that mindset, man. And I think maybe this is something more prevalent for like just younger people in general, because they came from that spot where maybe in the beginning, maybe you even had an experience where you thought a more experienced agent could be doing something better, and then they might have listened, they might have not listened, but it turned out that you were right and they were wrong. And then, you kind of saw that from the other perspective, so that when you're in a position to essentially learn from somebody who might not be as experienced, be younger, you're always listening and, willing to be a sponge and always improve yourself. So it's a great mindset to have. And I think a lot of people lack that. And it doesn't matter, like, it doesn't matter where you are in your life, your career, your business. There's always something you can learn from everybody, right? So everybody is superior to you in some way or form, it's not in every form, but in some way or form, they're better than you at something. They're seeing something from a perspective that you're not looking at, right? From an outside perspective. And that's important. It's a good lesson to have. So if you're listening to this, doesn't matter what experience you are, take some of these things that Xavier is saying, right? Because he's looking to hit some really big goals this year that not a lot of agents are even hitting in their 5, 6, 10 years in the business. So he must be doing something right, and doesn't matter what his experience is. He's doing something that other people aren't doing, and you guys should be listening to this. But yeah, kind of moving on to more of the investment side of the business, because you did mention something really interesting, and I think people can really learn from your experience just to know a little bit more about how you did it. But you say you have 3 investment properties in your name at 20 years old. Kind of walk us through that, how you were able to do it. Was it the kind of keeping your job and working as an agent at the same time, and kind of almost demystify the not being able to buy a property at a young age, idea.
So the first two, those were actually I can't take full credit for. So the down payment came from my mom's home's HELOC. So she had equity in her home. She took out a HELOC. She trusted me that I knew what I was talking about, even though it's my first year as an agent. She had she has no idea about, or had at the time, no idea about real estate. Nothing. She seen my energy in it. I showed her numbers, showed her like papers. Hey, this is what came prepared to say, hey, this is why you should give me 30 grand to put on these 2 properties. So she took a big leap of faith with me, and I'm grateful for that. So that's how I ended up getting the first 2. And then the second, or the third one, I'm sorry. The third one is actually my personal residence that you see right now. So if you're new and you don't have parents to maybe help you out in the way that I was helped, my recommendation would be what I'm doing now. So in my area, like I said, if you're a first-time home buyer, USDA, or even if you go FHA, I did an FHA on this house in particular, but 3.5% down, you can get your own house. After a year, you rent it out, which is what I'm actually in the process of doing right now. You rent it out and do it again. So usually a bank, if you bring them a lease proving that your property that's in your name, is bringing in income to cover that mortgage, usually they won't count that against you on your debt to income ratio when you go to get approved. So it'll be like you're starting at zero again. Some banks will like you to guarantee that you can afford both if that were the case. So if that's the case and your bank has that kind of stipulation, I would recommend getting a duplex with 3.5% down. So, on a couple 100,000, 3.5% down is rough numbers about 7,000 or so, 7 or 8,000. So I think working at Walmart, $15 an hour. I mean, you're probably bringing in 1,500 a month. You save up for 8 months. Don't party. Pay your car payment or whatever you got going on, and um, pay your bills and save that money up and get you a duplex and rent out the other side. And now you're living, rent free. Now you're living on one side of the duplex um, for free while the other person's renting it out. And then after a year, you can move out and rent out your side. So now you're bringing in, let's say one side was renting out 1,000 and that was covering everything. You leave and rent out that other side. Now you're bringing in 1,000. You didn't do anything but move. So that's called house hacking. That's what I would recommend if you aren't in a situation like I was blessed to be in. Um, this home that I'm in now is a single family home, so I'll be renting it out and finding another place to live. Um, but the same principle applies. Like I said, get a lead to that stuff. You can YouTube videos help a lot. Bigger Pockets is a good place to learn how to be a landlord. Books, that's another thing. Books, good inspiration to read a book on how to be a good landlord. Systems, processes, everything. Because when you move out, now you have income, $3, and you can go get another house. So now your other house that was going to cost you $800 or $900 a month on a mortgage just turned into $300 or $400 a month on a mortgage because you already have another property and you slowly build wealth like that. And keep in mind, these are all investments. So, when you get 10 years down the road of it being rented out and you go to refinance and you pull out 100,000, now you have 100,000 that you never had before. So just things like that. It's the long term. And as long as you buy a property with knowledge and you know that it's a good, solid property and doesn't need any major maintenance, roof, HVAC, anything like that. Foundation's a big one. You don't want a house with any foundation problems. But yeah, so as long as you know what you're looking for when you buy one, it should be no problem finding a tenant to rent it. And as long as you have good systems in place, it go like clockwork. Like right now, I do everything from my phone. So everything's controlled from an app. Tenants pay through an app. Um, they apply through an app. Everything's done through an app. And then I don't stress myself out scheduling appointments to view the house. Just do an open house, and everyone who's serious will come, and everyone who's not won't. So that's just, and you'll see the people, and a lot of people get upset that you don't make individual time for them. But if you're doing open houses, the people who make it a priority will be there. So just things like that, just to kind of cut back on your time running around. You want to work on your business, not in it. If you're doing rental properties, if you're doing real estate, you kind of got to be versatile. But definitely rental properties, you don't want to be involved in that too much. You want to try to do as much things hands off as you can. And really your biggest point is going to be selecting tenants because that's who you're trusting to take care of your property as well as to pay you on time. So that's where we take the most time out is finding tenants. I say we because me and my mom have an LLC and we do everything together. She doesn't really have a retirement, so she get real estate going, and that's going to be her retirement. So just that income, the refinances down the road to get her a paid off house and retired further down the line. But yes, so that's the overall goal, the big goal. But yeah, you can be 18 and do this. I always say to anyone looking, I've even talked to 16-year-olds I see in the gym. They'll come up to me and say, "Hey, man, I seen you, seen your car out front, uh, and you can do this." I mean, uh, for example, 3-bedroom house is what my house is. I live in here by myself. But if you were 18 and bought a 3-bedroom house, get two of your buddies to live in each room and pay you rent. Now you have a house that you don't pay for, and you're all buddies. So I mean, you go to the garage and drink a beer, have a party or something. I don't know, but yeah, just something like that. I mean, it's easier. I know it's easier said than done. Having a good credit score will help you out. Having parents that are willing to co-sign for you if necessary will help. But I don't necessarily think it's impossible to get a house when you're 18 as long as you have a credit score that's decent.
Yeah. And that kind of brings us back to the, you can't get a loan when you're 18, or you're getting a loan to get into debt in school versus, getting a real estate property. So I love that, you were able to just demystify that, not just in theory, but the fact that you put it into practice and you do it, so that when people see, they hear the story, and at the end we kind of share like how people can reach out to you if they want to do the same thing. But when they share the story and then they see that somebody like yourself was able to do it, it it should, I think, give people a lot of more assurance, and at least just kind of open their eyes into what's actually possible. It doesn't matter how old you are, or what experience you have in life in real estate or whatever, but you can really be smart with your finances, be smart with your business, life finance decisions, as well. And that kind of moves us into what do you think, just to cap off, will be the one piece of advice you would give to somebody who's just starting out, who is younger, either right out of college or right out of high school? What is one piece of advice, being as successful as you are at a young age, what would you give them?
Um, so if I could go back and if I had somebody to tell me what I know now, um, I would say your mindset is everything. 100%. If your mindset isn't there, you can't be successful. Um, you have to want whatever you're doing, and you have to know, because everyone's going to tell you it's not going to work. Tell you it's crazy, and I know that sounds corny because you hear that in movies, but it's true. No one's going to believe it because they don't see it. They no, you got to think. No one's ever usually no one in your family has ever done what you're trying to do, especially if you're an entrepreneur, real estate agent, something like that. Unless you have a family member that's an agent, your parents went to school, your grandparents went to college, and they think that's the only way. So you're going to hear that. You're going to hear, "Oh, I don't think that's a good idea. I think you should go to college first." Or you're going to hear, "Maybe finish college and then see if you still want to do that." Or how about forget that altogether and just go to college? You're going to hear that, and that's not the case. Surround yourself with people who are like-minded. If you don't have anyone around you like-minded, it's okay to be on your own. For a while, I was on my own and perfectly fine. You learn to like being alone. Now, that's not sound like depressed or anything, but uh, you learn that you work better alone, you move better alone, you're more efficient alone, and when you have those people around you that aren't on the same level as you, it slows you down, and you see that. So the more that you're focused on you and your goals, you know it'll show. You'll learn to like that and appreciate your drive and mindset. So you'll learn to appreciate reading a book. Well, just like I did, I never wanted to read a book. So I learned to appreciate the 15 to 20 minutes it takes to read 10 pages, if that. So just reading, working on yourself again, having the drive. What are you willing to give up? If I had someone to tell me all that, I'd probably be a little bit farther than I am now. But this is all stuff that has been learned over time. But yes, drive and mindset is 100% what it takes. And you have to be willing to hear the no's. You're going to hear 10 no's for every one yes you get. So you have to be willing and ready for that and understand that it's just business. Don't take it personal. Don't take anything that anyone says personal in business, because people are going to do what's best for them business wise. So if a seller tells you no because your commission they think is too high, don't drop your commission. You know what you're worth and you know what you bring to the table. So if they don't want to pay that, then it's okay to let them walk. Not every deal works out. So just it's big mindset thing, 100%. Just make sure that you're surrounding yourself with the right people, because that can definitely hurt you. And stay focused. I've had moments where I'm like, man, do I really want to be an agent? Is this really worth it? And you will get those moments. It will happen. You'll question everything. You'll be like, man, did I make the right decision? But it comes down to what, I mean, once to me, it was, I'd already made it this far, so I can't quit now. Because if I quit now, then I did all of it for nothing. So to me, quitting's not an option, because I already made it so far along in the process that there's no point in quitting. And just, that's not my character to quit. So just moving forward, always moving forward. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. You're going to go months or weeks or whatever without seeing anything happening. You're going to be like, man, what am I doing wrong? You're probably not doing anything wrong. Network. I talked to lenders when I first started out. I emailed every single top 5% agent in my office and asked them, hey, you have any tips for me moving forward? I'm a rookie. You know, anything that you wish you could go back and redo your rookie year. And sometimes you'll get stiffed. Sometimes, you know, you'll hear the agents tell you, you know, a story. They'll take time out of their day. Always thank someone for their time, because you don't know how long. You know, you don't know, especially the busier agents, you know, like the top 5% agents. I'm sure they're busy a lot. So every time I talk to them, I thank them for their time, just because, you know, they took time to talk to someone that isn't on their level, because you're not. But I mean, just not sound, you know, harsh or anything, but it's just the reality. You're not on their level yet, but you want to be. And if they see themselves in you, they will take the time out of their day to talk to you. If they think that you're worth it, they will talk to you. So just always be open to make new relationships. Don't be scared to talk to someone who knows more than you. Make relationships and keep your drive and mindset consistent throughout. Even on those days that you want to quit, don't, because it's going to be worth it to stick it around.
Yeah, I love it, man. I think you can do a lot of good, and a lot of young people might be listening to this. They can learn a lot from you, and that gets us to, you know, the last thing is, if anybody wants to reach out to you, they want to do what you've done, they want to learn from you, either from the investment side or the residential agent side, or if they're an agent looking to give a referral down in your area, how can they reach you?
So reaching me, Facebook is a big one. Xavier Hamblin Realtor on Facebook. And then Instagram, that's kind of like personal, but you can add me on Instagram if you want to see, you know, my Instagram. It's just my name, Xavier Hamblin. And then cell phone, that's the biggest. I mean, that's what I'm on all the time. So you can text me or call me, 573-631-6477. That's my business cell phone. So yeah, anyone can reach out, even if you know, have questions about just getting started. You know, I'll answer when I can. But yeah, I don't mind helping out new people interested in getting into it. Like I said, mindset's a big thing. And being, I wouldn't even say necessarily being passionate about real estate, because at first, to be honest with you, I wasn't passionate about real estate. But it grows on you. So just having drive to know what you want to do, and know that you want to be successful, and don't listen to parents necessarily 100%, because you got to think that they haven't walked the road that you're about to walk down. They went to college just like their parents told them to, and their parents told them to. So take everything they say with a grain of salt, because you know they haven't lived what you're about to. So it's a long journey, to an extent, and you're going to feel the pressure a lot of the times, but it's worth it. Don't give up.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And thank you so much, Xavier, for taking time out of your day to be on this podcast. I mean, I really think so many people can learn from you and your story, and I love highlighting it for other young people, young real estate or aspiring real estate entrepreneurs, professionals, investors, agents around the world. Thank you so much for being on the show. I will leave your information in the show notes below so that people can reach you. If you guys are listening to this, you got any questions for Xavier, make sure to reach out to him. It's a really great guy. And if you guys are listening to this podcast and you guys are enjoying the content, make sure you're sharing it with somebody who you think can really benefit from it. Turn on your notifications, like, subscribe, leave a review, leave a comment wherever you might be listening to this or watching it on video format on YouTube. But other than that, guys, thank you so much for tuning in this week. We'll be back again with another special guest. And, thank you for listening. And thank you again, Xavier, for being on the show.
Appreciate it.